Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are revisiting what was once by far the most busted ship in the game, and that is the Tier 10 Freemium American Aircraft Carrier, the FDR, the Franklin D. Roosevelt. For those of you that were around when Update 9.9 was released, the FDR was released in that update for 33,000 steel. And good God, this thing was everywhere upon initial release. Incredibly aggravating and tough to deal with. But she's gone through quite a few major changes, and I revisited her today, the day of recording, to see how she's doing in modern World of Warships. And like the title of this video states, I never thought I would say what I'm about to say about this ship, and that FDR in Warships in 2022, 2023 is kind of bad. Why? We'll get into that in a moment. If you wouldn't mind first appeasing our algorithm overlords by dropping your like and comment in the comment section or on the like button down below. Your interaction with those buttons appeases the algorithm overlords, and they must be appeased and fed. So if you wouldn't mind helping me out there, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, on to the FDR. So, the FDR. This is, in all honesty, one of the most unique carriers in the game, and definitely the most unique carrier in the game in terms of mechanics until the Soviet CVs came out a little while ago. The FDR has a couple of very unique mechanics about it. First off, her planes are just incredibly tanky. If you look at the HP bar at the bottom that shows the total amount of HP across your planes, it's literally like cruiser HP. And the planes feel like you're flying a cruiser too. Most of the planes are very sluggish. They are very slow. This ship has incredibly slow planes, but they're really tanky. They have lots of armor, and you get a lot of planes in each flight. And as you can also tell, the planes drop a ton of ordnance in each strike. And the other neat thing about it is that in most cases, I believe across all squadrons, it's 2 planes per attacking flight, yet each plane is just absolutely strapped with ordnance. So you're throwing a large amount of ordnance at the target with a small amount of planes, despite having a massive squadron size overall, which means that the FDR has some amazing alpha potential here with the 3 squadrons. Now, the first downside to this is that there's a 25-second cooldown time in between attacking waves, which means that once you drop your torpedoes, your bombs, or your rockets, you have to wait half a minute just about in order for the next attack run to be ready. Now, in today's World of Warships, that kind of sucks because, well, first off, high tier matches are a race to get your damage and get your kills in. It's like that with just about every ship in the game. A lot of the matches end incredibly fast. So you have, realistically, in most battles, you have about 6, 7, 8-ish minutes to get your damage in, at least in the battles that I've been having over the break. Of course, there's the odd battle here and there where, of course, the time does go on for a little bit longer. 1 or 2 ships manage to hold out for a little while longer, so you do have some more time to do some things. But in most cases, you are, again, just kind of rushing to get your damage in. But again, you do have a large amount of ordnance to drop for each squadron. For example, the torpedo bombers. Each plane drops 4 torps for a grand total of 8 torps per torpedo run. Which, by the way, if all of your torpedoes connect, which you can do that fairly consistently if you're very good at the torpedo planes, you'll be doing in the neighborhood of a little bit around 20,000 damage and changed, again, depending upon the target ship's torpedo protection and all that jazz. And if you notice, too, the torpedo planes are also, you can do some pretty funny things with them. They have a 15-second attack run time, which lets you do these stupid like handbrake or U-turns, or you can actually, if you can pull it off, do a complete 360 before you drop your torpedoes on the target ship. So, which means if you're the target ship, there's honestly not a whole lot you can do about it, because you try to point your bow at the planes and they just literally fly a circle around you for 15 seconds. So yeah, that's pretty dumb. Now, the dive bombers and the rocket planes are not quite that maneuverable, and they don't have that much time on their run-up, so you can't do anything really silly with that. But you guys get the general idea. Large amount of ordnance, a lot of alpha strike per attack run. Now, the main downside for having this levels of alpha attack and these planes that are incredibly tanky is that the plane regeneration rate is incredibly long. It has about 104-second regen rate for her aircraft. I believe the rocket planes are the shortest at 103 seconds. The torpedo bombers take 127 seconds, and then the dive bombers take 118 seconds. So that's a little around 2 minutes to regen one aircraft. So yeah, that's the major downside when it comes to trying to juggle your planes for this ship, because literally every plane you lose hurts so bad, because you're probably not getting enough of them rebuilt in time to sustain heavy losses throughout the match like you can with some other CVs like the Kaga and the Malta and the Nakhimov. So yeah, that's where she pays for that. So what happened with the FDR? Why is she so terrible now? Well, so before we get into, of course, how today's World Warships has affected the FDR, let's look at what's changed with the FDR, because she did get nerfed finally. So she was released an update to 9.9, so keep that data 9. From that point, she was basically left alone until almost a full patch cycle later. In 10.8, they finally started to tweak her. Now, this is the only steel ship in my mind that has been directly nerfed, unless you count the adjustments of Stalingrad's radar because of the commander rework a nerf, which I don't really, because it's still basically the same parameters that she was released with. This is the only steel ship that's been nerfed. So what happened? In 10.8, they did this. They nerfed the arming range of her torpedoes by about 30 meters. It went from 517 to 545 meters. And then the spread of the torpedoes was also increased by 5%. So they kind of shuffle away from each other a little bit more now. And then the bombers were also nerfed. The maximum HE damage per bomb was decreased from 11,200 to around 10,600, not around, to 10,600 damage. And then the pins of the HE bombs were decreased from 67 to 64 millimeters. And then the fire chance was also nerfed from 64 to 60%. So, relatively small nerfs there, with the exception of the HE bomb damage. I mean, that's about a 1,400, not a 1,400, that's about a 700, 600-ish damage reduction to the bombs. So, yeah, that's a little rough there. Now, and as far as the dive bombers go, they are quite fearsome, even still today, when you can get them on target. Each plane carries 4 bombs, so again, 2 planes attacking, that's 8 bombs being dropped on the target. That being said, though, I don't know what was going on with either my RNG or if they've like secretly nerfed the dispersion of the bombs. But even when I would get like a full run up, like the smallest reticle, and I would lead the ship appropriately, or even if the ship wasn't maneuvering that much, I would still have bombs missing. Like half the bombs were missed. I'd get like 3 or 4 bomb hits, despite again the reticle being pretty much fully within the ship. And I'm guessing those 4 bombs just went to the edge of the circle and, you know, went in the 3 pixels that weren't covering the ship's deck. Now, the bombs, too, do also have a really long fall time. I don't know why they decide to ignore the laws of gravity, but they do. So that was the first nerf that happened to her all the way back in 10.8. But then in 10.10, just 2 patches later, they really brought the nerf bat down on the FDR. So the attack aircraft, their HP per plane was decreased from 3,200 to 3,040. The dive bombers' HP were decreased from 3,700 to 3,500. The torpedo bombers' HP was decreased from 3,690 to 3,505. So it got nerfed to its damage output with the HE bombs, and then they came back a little while later and nerfed the planes, which, you know, two small nerfs put together, it's one pretty decent sized nerf to the FDR, but still, for the time, it was quite a powerful aircraft carrier, especially in some very capable hands. However, fast forward to 2022, well, the end of 2022, the beginning of 2023, and, welp, good luck with this thing at high tier. Man, the way that the game has devolved, as we've all seen, it's a lot more passive teams at high tier. There's a lot more of ships grouping up and staying together for most of the match because of submarines and CVs. And, I mean, honestly, we just have ships that are just outright better, CVs that are outright better and easier to play than the FDR. The FDR requires you to think about 2 or 3 steps ahead of what you're doing right now, because the planes are so slow. You can't really just do what you can do in most other CVs, where you can, you know, drop one attack run from your squadron and then just recall the planes and just send another set of planes out toward the target, because your planes are too slow for that. If you do that, you're going to have a pretty low damage game. And, I mean, why bother with that when you can get the Nakhimov, which, despite having been nerfed a couple of times already, is still incredibly good, or the Malta, which is a coal premium CV, which is currently, in my opinion, the most busted CV in the game at the moment, and is so much easier to play than the FDR. It's... why? Why would you want to spend 33,000 still on this when it's pretty difficult, really niche to play at high tier now? Now, of course, if you are a super unicum, you can probably make this plane. I mean, you are playing the planes. You know, you're not really playing the ship too much. You can definitely make the ship work. I mean, it's very niche. It has a very high skill floor, but sure, it can still work. But it's not like how it used to be, when you could just, if you want to burn the steel on this thing, take it out and just easily walk all over the enemy team. What does kill the FDR planes is flak. Flak is just, you have so much damage in those flak clouds. And when you have 3 or 4 ships sitting on top of each other, like do so often higher tier now, you just can't avoid that. Like, there's just, your planes are too slow, they're too clunky when they're cruising, you just can't avoid it. You're going to eat the flak damage and lose half your squadron when there's, again, like 3 or 4 ships sat on top of one another. It's not like the other CVs that you can just, you know, kind of smash down W, speed through a lot of it, and then get your payload off and then, you know, get out of there. You can't do that with the FDR. So, yeah. Again, Malta's so much better. It's coal. It's a free ship. Nakhimov is a tech line ship. It's free. It's, again, one of the best CVs in the game right now. So, for the average CV player, I wouldn't really recommend trying to get this thing for steel. Go for Malta. It's coal. It's free. It's a lot easier to use. It is, I mean, it's busted right now, but I'd be lying to you and saying it's not a good ship, because it is. It's so good it's broken, but we'll see what happens with that once Wargaming gets the old Nerf bat around to it. But it is very odd seeing what happens to even the most OP of ships at times over time. I guess, again, just with how gimmicky this ship is, because, again, it is gimmicky. You know, it does have, you know, certain traits about it, but they're so far out there with, like, the attacking time, the amount of HP that the squadrons have, that, again, just over time, like with most gimmicks, it just gets either power crept, outdated, where the game just kind of evolves past it, or, in my opinion, devolves past it to where everyone's just sitting together at higher tier now, to where it's not that great anymore. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on the FDR, guys. After looking back at her for, shoot, 9.9 was what? That was, oh man, when did this ship come out? 2019? Man, 3 years ago, almost, or 2 years ago at this point. Yeah, I think she came out in June of 2019 or June of 2020. So yeah, it's really weird, because, again, I still think this ship is still a fairly new ship, but, I mean, think about it too. You don't really see them in random battles that often. Like, the 2 or 3 times I've seen it recently was once when I was playing it for this video, and then I think we saw it on stream a few weeks ago, and I was like, hey, look, an FDR, I haven't seen one of those in forever. And then a little while Past that too, I saw one when I was just, I think, just playing just for the funsies. But yeah, think about that too. I mean, if you don't see it out there that much anymore, it's not really that great anymore. So guys, again, let me know what you guys think about the FDR in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 45,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. So you guys have a wonderful Friday, have a wonderful weekend. I will be live streaming tonight on the channel and on Twitch around 5 p.m. U.S. Central Time, so make sure to come out for that. Again, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.